Welcome to the Her Voice Shines podcast, where we celebrate the power, brilliance, and resilience of women everywhere. I'm your host, Sandra Washington. Join us as we share inspiring stories and insights from extraordinary women who have found their voice and are making a difference. Together, we'll create a ripple effect, illuminating the path to visibility and empowerment. Let's break barriers, shatter ceilings, and lift each other up. In each episode, we dive deep into the journeys of women who have turned their challenges into triumphs and their dreams into reality. Whether you're looking for motivation, guidance, or a community that understands your journey, you're in the right place. Stay tuned and remember, let your voice shine. Let your voice shine. You have landed at the Her Voice Shines podcast. I am your fabulous host, Sandra Washington, streaming from the actual pretty cold today, Houston, Texas. I am so happy and honored to be here and back in the studio recording. And we've had a great run. I'm telling you, these ladies that have come in this particular round have been nothing short of amazing. And their stories of resiliency. I tell them all the time that you guys come to this platform to get your stories out, but you don't know how therapeutic and really empowering it is for me, for you to stand here with me and tell your story. So I'm so happy about my guest today. And we're going to do our normal drill, have her come to the stage, tell us her name, where she's streaming from, and we get an insight into this very beautiful lady. And here she is today.
Thank you very much for having me. My name is Sandra Doyle, and I am a mother of 7, grandmother of 19, and a great-grandmother of 3. And I worked about 14 years in the death care industry. And when I was diagnosed with lung cancer and second stage COPD, COVID hit. And my kids said, "You're not leaving the house." Well, you can fight one kid, maybe 2, but 7. So I was stuck at home for over 2 years. And during that time, I started going through my desk and notes and stuff. And I decided it's time for me to write the book. I always said I was going to write a book about the cemetery because nobody would believe it. And I did. That's what I did. For 2 years, I wrote this book about the different people that came in. Some stories are sad. Some are full of grief. Some are just funny. And all of them will make you think, whether about life, about people, and you'll shake your head in wonderment. So that is where I am. I found out that through this journey, I love people. I belong to the Optimist organization. I did not do much with my book last year because I was vice president of Middle America for the Optimist International. And I spent a lot of time getting to know people and traveling in the Midwest. So I am from Muncie, Indiana, and today it's about 8 degrees and we've got 5 or 6 inches of snow on the ground. So 40, 50 degrees sounds like a blessing to me.
Miss Sandra, don't speak that 8-degree weather. I just couldn't even imagine, because this morning, I think it was like the low today was maybe about 39, maybe. And they were saying that the wind chill factor was like maybe feel like 24. And to me, that just feels like, why even come outside? Like, what is out there that's so important as a Texas girl?
Nothing. We're podcasting today.
As a Texas girl, so, you guys, I don't know if at some point, I guess you just get used to it. But I do know I have quite a few, friends, especially ones that have retired. They have left the cold winters behind and they have moved down south to enjoy warmer temperatures, particularly Florida and Texas are actually really big hubs for retirees. They're like, look, I've served my time and now I want to move to some warmer areas. So
yeah, I don't blame them a bit. The sunshine is what gets me because I suffer from seasonal disorder. And so if it is gray out there, just give me a good book and a blanket and let me lay down on the couch and read. I don't want to do anything else.
I totally get it. And then I thought about my grandparents a bit because you have a big flock like they have. I mean, they had 5 children. One unfortunately has passed on, so they have 4 living children, 13 grands, and probably the great grands are maybe at about 15 or 16 now, I think. So when I heard that big flock, I'm like, oh, Miss Sandra, I know all about.
Blessed. I mean, looking at it, at the time when I was raising them, I didn't really see that, but I've just been so blessed. Every one of them and every grandkid. It's just like the grandkids are my babies, So I just, I feel very blessed, very fortunate to have had all of this, the love and the
legacy.
Yeah.
Sure, because that is a lot. On my paternal side, I'm the oldest grandchild, and and I think the oldest great grand, she may be graduating high school or so coming up soon. She may be like in 10th or 11th grade. So to even look down and to see like, oh my gosh, like a whole nother like generation. Like I'm middle aged now, and there's this whole other generation coming behind me. It is definitely something that's beautiful to see. Now, Miss Sandra, when I was looking at your story, I said, oh my gosh, like that's a lot. Here's COVID coming on. I'm diagnosed with, COPD stage 2. Then there's some lung cancer going on. And then you were kind of writing. That's a lot of change, really, Miss Sandra, at one time. That's a lot of different phases of things, of reality, really, to really face. Tell me about what kept you grounded in so much uncertainty, because there's disease. I mean, there's, a big national pandemic going on and all these things. Like, what was that grounding piece for you that kept you in the moment?
I think when I came home from the doctor's office with the diagnosis, I live with my son. I live upstairs and they live downstairs. And he already knew because, when you got 7 kids, we have a family chat. So it had already went out. And I come home and he took me in his arms and he said, Mom, I can't fix this for you. And I said, don't worry, I'll fix it. And so then it became a research type of thing. Okay, what kind of foods do I need to eat? I found out that I had to give up sugar, which was the hardest thing in the world for me because I'm a sugar addict. I mean, give me a cup of coffee and cookies and I'm good. But I took that time to learn how to meditate. I learned how to do healing meditations. I did affirmations. As I said before, I belong to the Optimist organization. And one part of our creed is promise yourself to be so strong that nothing will disturb your peace of mind. And I kept saying that over and over because I realized that if I let all of that get into my head and I focused on that, I wouldn't make it. And so I did the affirmations. I started taking herbs, which I've always taken herbs, but I started taking mega herbs, anything that would fight autoimmune, anything that would fight cancer, anything. And I was taking like 15, 16 herbs a day. And so, and then I focused on the book. I focused on the book. I did a lot of Zoom calls with my Optimist people. I did a lot of Zoom calls at that time with people. I had taken not a class, but I had taken a thing with Mary Morrissey on positivity, and I found out that she talked about, we are spiritual beings and there's not anything we can't do. And I found people that I related to quite well in that program. And so, and I focused anywhere from 2 to 4 hours a day on the book, trying to remember all of the fun things, trying to remember the bad things, trying to remember just what was going on. So.
Yeah. And you know what? I have to commend you for taking really that accountability and saying, there's going to be a level of physical wellness and mental wellness that I'm going to incorporate and basically garner to. I mean, I have an illness, right? And that is the reality of it. But what am I going to do on my side to kind of help me live the best I can in this illness? And I think that's a powerful stand to do that. So all of the research that you did about the various herbs and, curbing your diet, I really think a lot of people can learn from that because, I mean, at the reality when a diagnosis comes, that is the reality of it. But then what are you going to do with that reality? And what are you going to do to gain a quality of life? One of the things I did like what you said that, and I truly believe this because you said we are spiritual beings and we're living a human experience. Tell me about that thought and really where that took root. Because I tell people this all the time. I would bet a lot of money. I know my spirit has lived before. I'm like, I mean, the older I get, and I'm like, my soul has been somewhere in the earthly realm before. I don't know where I am in the spiritual phase, but it definitely feels like it's been here before. So tell me about that thought process and really when that ideology really took root.
Well, while I was doing the book, I finished the book with my husband's illness, which, he passed away with lung cancer also. And, I don't know, it was 2 or 3 months after he had gone. And all of a sudden, I felt somebody touch me on my shoulder. And I turned around. I mean, I was asleep, woke me up. And there he stood. And he was in a black suit with a red tie and a white shirt. And I looked at him and I kept thinking, I know that we buried him in a white polo golf shirt and black jeans because that was his favorite. That was his favorite thing to wear. And where he got the black suit when he's standing there talking to me, I didn't know. But writing the book, and I finished with that, and I had to go back, and I have a couple of stories in my book that people have asked me, have you heard of people coming to them after they died? And I said, I have heard of it, but I had never experienced it until, the death of my husband. And I got to thinking about it as I, was finishing up the book. They're right. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. We're not human beings having a spiritual experience. That soul, that spirit inside doesn't die. It goes on. And I thought after that, how more comforting it is to believe that, to know that with the certainty that, if souls or spirits are coming back to loved ones, that means that love does not die. That love abounds. It continues. And so it was such a blessing to me to realize that, a blessing to me to know that, I took some grief therapy after that. I just went through a lot of different emotions, different things. Yes, I went through a period after he died, like it must have been a couple of months. And I realized I went in to fix me a bowl of cereal, and I realized I hadn't had anything different to eat for 2 weeks. Hadn't talked to anybody, hadn't, went out, got out of the house, hadn't done anything. And so grief is very real, and it can kill you. And I have a couple of examples in my book that I believe that grief was what killed them, and it wasn't alcohol or anything else. It was the grief you know, I think, and this is just me, that grief will kill you just as fast or just as much as a gun will. It'll just take longer.
I 100% believe that. And also, too, the not coping with grief. And I've shared this story a few times on this podcast. In 2013, I had an aunt. She was just 43 years old, and she died suddenly from an allergic reaction to citrus. Just literally throat closed. Left 3 boys behind and destroyed the. Let me rephrase that. It changed the course of our family, never to be back the same again. I just want to say that.
Right.
It was such a heavy time for me, and I do know that she has come back to me a couple times in dreams, and like I feel like she comes just at the right time. I will see her face so clearly. Very 43, but a very youthful, very petite woman. It had a lot of youth to her, even 43. You know, really on the energy of maybe a 25-year-old probably. And that youthful energy will come and visit me at the most awkward times I really would wish that she would show up or show up in a dream or something. She never does. But at the most awkward times, it feels like I'll have a dream about her. Like we're riding in the car, or, we're all at my grandparents' house and she's there at a family function. And sometimes it's not very long. It'll be a smidgen of a dream and I wake up. And I'm almost like I'd actually been there. We'd been back to our old family prior to 2013 and all of the main characters were there. And then, you come back down and that's just not the reality, but it helps me understand that she's still here in spirit. Right. Because it comes like so clearly where I can tell you the clothes. We were eating a meal and we were all around the table, we were laughing, and I just woke up and I'm trying to go back to sleep to get there and can't get back. So I just get that small snippet. But to kind of come back on the other side of it, and in terms of grief, and I tell people often after that passing, I went through a very, very detrimental 2 years. So my thing with it was I literally almost worked myself to death. I was working like 65 hours a week.
Oh my.
I didn't know that I was not coping with the grief. I just was staying in motion basically, so I didn't really have to feel, I guess. And I didn't know that's what I was doing. And that lasted for 2 years to 2015. Yeah. I went every day. I would literally go into work, and when I would get there would be nobody there. And then when I would leave, there would be nobody there but the cleaning crew. And these people have gone home and done these things. And it's like 8 p.m. and I've gotten here at 7 a.m. and I'm still here working. Only to turn around the next day to do the same thing, cycle after cycle after cycle. Yeah. And I do believe that if I wouldn't have stopped and got some admission and really shook out of it, that was a detrimental path for me.
Oh, definitely.
I was not eating properly, so obviously I'm working all these crazy. I'm just grabbing whatever junk on the way home, going straight home, eating the junk and laying right down. No physical activity, going right back to a sedentary office job, and doing this thing over and over for 2 years straight.
Yeah, I know. The stories I heard when I was working at the cemetery, it's people quit eating. A lot of people will start drinking. A lot of people will just sleep, or people will start working like you did because they don't want to think. They don't want to feel. And I think the one thing that I realized with the book and going back over the stories and going back over the death of my husband,
sure,
love abounds.
Sure.
It makes no difference if they're not here. You still love them and they still love you, and they're going to be around you until you leave. And
I think that is the part of growth and maturity and healing that I had to get to, right? Because when it's so new, you're so used to just the physical, and that's all you know. Because for somebody to be like, "Oh, I love you," but they're not here.
Right.
If that's all you know, your emotions, your spirit haven't reconciled that fact. So it takes a space and time and energy and effort to really get to a place. And I'm never saying that it's easy, because I'm talking 12 years later, and there are some days that feel like it just happened.
Exactly.
Some days it does. So I just think that commitment to being there and remembering the parts that are very comforting to my soul, and knowing that, like, I'm on this path nearly the age that, she was when she passed away, and I have a child, and just thinking about all of these different facets of her death that I didn't necessarily have to face because I was much younger in my journey. And now to get here, it's like, oh, we're kind of in the same patch of life now. And really what kind of feels like, and knowing that my grandparents had to bury a child, and then what that looked like for them, and having to raise additional grandkids and take more kids in, it's just a unworking and unwind that I really had to work to get to this place. So I wanted to definitely highlight and have Miss Sandra talk about that, because there is likely a person right now that's dealing with grief, and dealing with grief in a way that's not healthy. And neither one of us, we're not sitting here saying it's going to be, pie in the sky, and, it's going to be this easy thing. But it does take a commitment to want to progress.
Yeah.
Because
I believe you're put on this earth to learn, to experience, and to love. And if that person is gone, that does not mean that you don't still love them. And that doesn't mean that they don't still love you. And nothing will take that love back. And so, I just wholeheartedly, something deep inside me believes that is so true. And I have the experience to say that. Sure. I have had the experience that I have watched it, and I wrote about it.
And I love that. And I want to ask you, because I know in the book you tell other people's stories, like as well as your own. Why is it important to spotlight humanity versus differences? With this platform, Miss Sandra, I've been able to talk to I'm very blessed to say this. I've been able to talk to so many different types of people from, different backgrounds and just different socioeconomic statuses and all these titles and everything. But I'm telling you, really what bridges and really what drives me to be here and do it in high integrity is because this space, this conversation, it capitalizes on how similar we are and how much our stories can bridge and heal. And it keeps me grounded to show up every day, because I am literally changed from this podcast. I know a lot of people, they have podcasts as extensions of their brands. And of course, I do have a brand, but I am better because of this podcast. I have learned so much. I have built connections I would have never ordinarily received.
That's right.
You understand that? So I don't take this place lightly. So from your perspective of writing your own story and also coupling in other people's story, tell us about that importance and really highlighting that humanity versus saying, oh, there's these stark differences from these experiences.
I can tell you that it started probably not too long after I started working there. Part of my job was that was my day on and a funeral was coming in, I met the funeral at the gates of the cemetery with the hearse, and I took it to where the burial space was going to be. And my job was to remain with that deceased person until they were in the vault, and the vault was sealed. And so everybody would have left, the grounds crew would be there. And then when the vault was sealed, I would go back to the office. And I remember saying, eternal rest grant unto them, O Lord, let perpetual light shine upon them, and may they rest in peace. And I have no clue. I have no clue where it came from, but it was a feeling. It was a knowing that it was all is well. All is well. And I can tell you, it didn't make any difference whether they were Protestant, whether they were Catholic, whether they were Jew, Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, whatever. I got that same feeling. All is well. All is well. And so I just, I believe that God is love, and I believe that we are spiritual beings made out of that love.
Absolutely. And, you never think that like like sometimes you just live in life, right? And you never know when that experience from 10 years, 20 years, or the present experience will kind of come back around. Like if you would have even asked me in 2020, Miss Sandra, would Shanasia be sitting talking on a podcast and speaking? I would have said, "You heck no! I'm the quiet girl from the back of the room. I don't." I don't do any of that stuff. Like you must be talking about somebody's life, and we're talking about as little as 5 years ago. Like I literally would have still been, at my corporate America job, and they would have read all the things that's happened to me since 2020 to 25, and I would have told them they were lying. You have the wrong person. Who is that lady? You're not reading my story. And I think, we never know what the next turn is going to be, because would you have ever thought you would be sitting on a podcast?
No. No, but let me tell you, after the book, I thought, okay, as much as I would love to go out and speak, because I think what the message I have is important.
Sure, it is.
But I also know that, I live in an area where we've got 5-6 inches of snow and it's cold, and I'm not going out anywhere today.
You told me that earlier in the interview, so I believe you. We're not doing it.
So I love this, that I can talk to somebody and that they appreciate my story, and that hopefully somebody out there will learn something from me, and I will learn something from you. And that's how life goes. I just marvel at how life goes. And I have to say, I have become so grateful. So grateful for the people that have flowed into my life, that I would, as you said, 5 years ago, I'd have said, no, there's no way. But the people that have flowed into my life, whether it's on podcast or whether it was by me speaking or whether it was by people coming to check on my books or people buying my books and putting things on Amazon or whatever, I love it. I just love it. I love the opportunity. I love the people. I realize that people are searching. They're searching for that little answer. And I do believe that is when you accept that you are a spiritual being,
sure,
and there's nothing you can't do. That's what it's all about.
And I think also too, accepting that also too helps to remove limitations and expectations. Because I think before I started, even though it's been pretty tough these past few years, I've been more open to the possibilities. If that makes sense.
Yes.
When everything is just kind of there and comforted, and you're just going through this track. I mean, you just kind of have that view, right? When some of those things, the most sacred things, you lose them, or all these different things change you as a person and a perspective. So I'm just kind of like one of those people that wake up and I'm like, well, Lord, you got to have your way. I'm going to show up. I'm going to do the thing. I don't know if it's going to hurt. I don't know if it's going to bring some joy. I don't know what to expect, right? I mean, I'm living in high faith, and an expectation of you taking care of me. But I have removed the limits in terms of how I operate in this space. So, sometimes it takes hard spaces to get there, and I had to, of course, go through, but to get here and be like, this is just where we are. And I am just committed to being accountable, to keeping pushing, to keeping learning, to keeping building connections. If I can do that part, I know that you'll take care of the rest.
Exactly.
I know that you will.
Exactly.
Now, I'm telling this because I know that people are, in need of human experience and things that really feel real. What do you think that people are most in need of right now in terms of a message? I know you're experiencing many people. Is there anything that kind of sticks out when you're talking or speaking, or just maybe something you may be picking up in the news or channels? What do you think that people need most right now?
Love. Love, compassion.
Simple.
The realization that we're all the same and that we're all connected. It makes no difference what they believe or what religion they have or what politics they have or what color they are, they're still a person, and that person basically is still from the same place that you are, and it's from God.
Yeah.
And love abounds, and that is the secret to life. And the second thing is, be grateful. Be grateful for every cell of your being. Be grateful for who you are. Be grateful for the people in your life. Be grateful for life and the experiences that you have and the love that you have.
I love that. I want to go back to the book just very quickly because I meant to ask you this because you wrote about several stories. Of those stories, and I want you to tell us a lot because we want people to go and get the book, and we'll give you a segment for to tell us where to find it. But in the book, is there one particular story that just was like, this one stayed with me? I know you have a lot of stories. Is there one particular story that maybe taught the biggest lesson or, pulled on your heartstrings the most? What was that story? And give us a little bit about that.
I always start with a story, and it was, I think it must have been one of the first people that I had dealings with. And a young guy, he was 49, and he'd had a massive heart attack. And his 21-year-old son and his 16-year-old daughter were his next of kin, and they were in trying to make arrangements. And the ex-wife, which was the kid's mother, was with them. And so we ended up, after like 2 hours or so, we put him next to his mother. Okay. And there happened to be spaces around him that were available. And I had told her that. And so a couple of weeks, I always followed up a couple of weeks later with my clients. And she told me in our conversation that she wanted to purchase that space next to him because if something happened to her, that is where the kids would put her. And if something happened to one of the kids, that's where she would put them. So I made arrangements. She came out to the cemetery. She bought the space right next to him. 2 or 3 days later, I had a young girl come in, and she looked like a model coming in. And she said, I got your name from the funeral director. And she said, I really need to be buried as close to this gentleman as I can get because we've been lovers for 5 years. And I know he would want to spend eternity with me. So I sold her the space at the guy's feet. A few days later, I had a gentleman come in and asked to speak with me privately. And I took him into the arrangement room, and he said, we have been lovers since high school, and we're hooked together physically, spiritually, emotionally, and I need to be buried to him as close as I could get. Well, the only space that was left was at the bottom of the ex-wife's feet. So we have the deceased, and then we have the ex-wife, and then on the second row, we have the girlfriend and then the boyfriend. And I ended the story with, isn't it fitting that he was buried in the garden of love? And the family may never know, but the cemetery knows it all.
Okay, Miss Sandra, I wasn't expecting that. I said, now what? Now after the model young chick came in, I thought we was done, but we had a whole nother layer of, that is. For one, I will definitely be getting the book because I have to read it. It reminds me, this is what, December? I think maybe like in October or September, sometime around there, I read the Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. I read that book. It's about a lady named Bunny Ware. I believe she may be Australian, or she stayed in Australia or something, a good piece of the book. But she wrote this book. And it was similar in the sense where she did basically tell a lot of other people's stories. She was like a hospice nurse at one point. So she was with people the last part of their dying days. And she had a variety of age groups and different things that came through there. But it was a excellent book. Like I think I read it all in one setting because it's that good. But it kind of made me kind of go back to that, like in one, one story, one setting. But you kind of have a different perspective though, because now you're like at the at the absolutely end, and only person that knows this
cemetery
is the cemetery. I'm speechless. I'm speechless.
And basically, every time I tell that story, they'll say, "Are you sure that happened?" I said, "Yes." And let me tell you, I was so naive back then. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know, and I thought, you can't tell anybody. But yeah, it was it made me realize right off the get-go that I never knew who or what was coming in that door. And I did not know what story they had. And I did not know whether they would become my closest friends or whether they would be my worst enemies, because I would have to have the sheriff come out, to break up, because adrenaline and guilt are very real. And so with this story, I started the book with that story because I wanted people to realize if you can laugh at people, at stories, you got it made. You can, we have to laugh.
Yeah.
Everybody has a story, and it's not going to be everything's just perfect. People are people.
People are people. And also too, that's kind of the reality. I mean, some of these are like really grounding moments. So, it's like, okay, if you want your legacy and stuff to be intact, like what kind of things could actually come through at the end that nobody knows about?
That's right.
But the cemetery,
Well, I made you laugh. That was a good thing.
Oh no, you should have seen my face. I go off screen because I try and give my guests, we try and get good segments. But when I was off screen, I almost fell out the chair. I almost was on the floor, Miss Sandra. Like you almost didn't get a host back on here. But I got myself together. I got myself together and I came on back, but I was like, oh my goodness. Like, and you had to hold that story for so long into the book. Oh my gosh, what a colorful time. Did they have an actual funeral service and everything? Or Oh, I'm pretty sure that was some colorful time.
Yeah. And back years ago, I mean, that would not have been anything that people would talk about. It would have been hush, hush, hush. And for me back then to write that or to experience that, it was an eye-opening experience for me.
That's great. I want to go here. I think it's a great segue because one of the things I asked you about, I said, well, what is legacy or what do you hope to leave behind for legacy? And you told me love and kindness. That's what you told me. So lots of times when I ask my guests that question, I always ask them about personal audits. So if that's the legacy that you want to leave behind, how do you live that out every day? Because it's these every little day deposits and moments that we put into the earth that actually leaves a life and legacy behind. So tell me, what are you doing to make sure that that is the legacy of Sandra K. Doyle, and how do you kind of keep that personal audit in check to make sure that legacy comes to fruition?
Well, I told you that I belong to the Optimist organization. It's Optimist International, and the headquarters is out of Missouri. And we have Optimist clubs all over. And I have been in the Optimist organization now for 27 years. I started as a president of a charter club, and I did not know what I was doing. They told me, go do projects, and I said, well, what projects? I had never even been to an Optimist meeting. I just knew that was a way for me to help kids, and so during the years, basically, we've helped thousands and thousands of kids, whether it was, making sure they had books or making sure that, they got a trophy for basketball or football, or making sure that we gave money for essays and oratorical. The Optimist International is very big with the oratorical thing in the University of Missouri. And I think to do through the Optimist, and that's not the only place, but do that extra little bit out there, because you might be the only person, and whatever small little thing you do, whether you buy a toy or whether you buy a book or whether you buy a fuzzy blanket for the Head Start, or whether you provide groceries for 2 weeks, because we know that the 2 weeks between Christmas and New Year's, those kids might not be eating, and so find those needs in your community and do something about it. It may be little and it may be small, but let me tell you, it's in the giving that you receive. And there's nothing that you can give to beat the feeling that you get that you have helped a child.
I love that. And also, too, when you guys see this, it will be post the holiday season, but it is, definitely a reminder. And I like that you brought in that 2 weeks that's critical in the holiday season, where many children actually do, go without. So, of course, be mindful of that. The other thing with giving, and a lot of people think that giving is always just financial. Giving is your time. Giving can be your listening ear. There's so many different ways that you can give that are not financial. And thinking about where you can show up, give, and I'm telling you guys, it truly can be a ripple effect. I have turned around and helped someone, fill out a kiosk where they were not technologically inclined, and giving them a piece of my time and support. And they have literally almost been in tears and telling me, oh my gosh, just thanks for seeing me. Thanks for helping me. Everyone's just walking me by and I don't know what to do.
Right.
There's so many different ways that you can turn around and deposit and keep us going through really love and compassion. So thanks for highlighting that, Ms. Sandra.
I can tell you that right now, the biggest thing that I have found lately that I never realized is that personal care products in the schools. These kids are going to school. They don't have no shampoo, no conditioner, no deodorant,
Clothes are not washed.
No pads. No, I mean, it broke my heart when I found that out. And if you can, take a bag into the school and leave it, those nurses, those secretaries, they'll make sure that kids in need will get it.
Absolutely. And that's I'm in a large city, and we have several schools that are plagued with those kinds of problems as it relates to hygiene. I want to make sure that we give you a clean segment for connection points. Tell us where we can find the book. And if there is someone that wants to connect with you, whether that's in social media or email or website, whatever that you use for connection, I want to make sure that you provide that now for connection points.
Okay. Well, you can buy the book. It's on Amazon. It's on Barnes and Noble. It's on the thrift store. It's on Goodreads, Books A Million, whatever. You can buy it. My website is Sandy Doyle -author, and you can connect with me there. So.
Okay, yes, ma'am. And we will also have those details in the description box, either above or below, depending on where you are viewing us on today. Thanks for that. I also want to cue over to Ms. Sandra for final thoughts. So I always ask my guests to give us something that really captures the essence of them, and also give us some great parting words for the space that we shared. And after you do that, I'll be back to close the show. So over to you for final thoughts.
My final thought is to all of your listeners, just be grateful. Love and be grateful. I have learned through all the years that those are the 2 things that mean the most for your life. And if you want to change your life, put out more love, put out more gratitude. And if you have to get up every morning and thank God or your creator or the universe or whatever for every cell of your being, for your feet, your calves, your shins, your knees, your thighs, your hips, your backbone, all the organs, and make sure you thank him so much for the heart that beats in love and that sends out love to the universe, because that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. And thank you for reminding me of that. Gratitude is something that keeps me so grounded, Miss Sandra. Sometimes even on a tired day, if I could just get off, thank you for being here. Maybe I don't have enough but a little bit of a breath to push out, but I'm just thank you for being here. And I know that just by me doing that, you'll give me the strength. May not be Herculean strength today, but you'll give me the strength that I need to continue this journey. So thank you for sharing that. Let me tell you, everybody out there that's in the Her Voice Shines podcast land. Miss Sandra, I have loved this time for you. You are by here. Welcome back. Okay.
Just call me anytime if you need me.
I want to tell you that. And thank you so much for using this period of your life to pour back in the way that you do. Because there are people that think that once they get to a certain stage, there's nothing left to give back. But you have proven that to be so far from the truth. So you standing here and doing this, being a mother, a grandmother, a great-grandmother, a widow, and one who has lived a life with illnesses and what people would consider setbacks, you have still chosen to show up and give love and gratitude. And I want you to know that is nothing small, and I honor you for that.
Well,
so to
thank
our listeners that are out there, I always tell you to let your voice shine, because miraculous things happen when you do. And like the folks say in church, I love you. Ain't nothing you can do about it, so you better take it. And I'll be back really in no time with another amazing woman here on the Her Voice Shines podcast. Until then, I love you, and we're out.
Thank you, babe.